The morning fog rolled in thick over Eastbridge, Georgia, swallowing street signs and softening the edges of the world. It was the kind of fog that made even familiar roads feel foreign, like the town had forgotten itself overnight. The air was damp and still, and the silence felt heavier than usual. Judge Althea Monroe stepped out of her brick townhouse with quiet precision. She was a black woman in her early 40s, tall and composed, with the kind of presence that made people sit straighter without knowing why. Her robe was folded neatly in her satchel. She didn't wear her authority on her sleeve. She wore it in her silence. She was used to the double takes, the subtle skepticism, the coded language, but she never let it shake her. She had learned early that dignity was her armor and restraint was her weapon. She had a hearing scheduled at 9 a.m., a case involving police misconduct. The irony wasn't lost on her. She slid into her car, tapped the GPS, and began her drive. A detour rerouted her through a neighborhood she rarely visited. She didn't think twice. She had a reputation for punctuality, and she intended to keep it. The streets were quiet. The fog clung to the pavement like a secret. As she turned onto Maple Avenue, she slowed at a stop sign, paused, and rolled forward. That's when the flashing lights appeared behind her. She pulled over calmly, her hands resting on the steering wheel. She had done nothing wrong, but she knew that didn't always matter. Officer Brent Callahan was 32, white, and proud of his badge. He'd grown up in a household where law enforcement was gospel and respect was demanded, not earned. He'd been patrolling Eastbridge for 3 years and had developed a reputation for being strict, though the complaints told a different story. He saw Althea's car roll through the stop sign, barely, and decided to pull her over. His hand hovered near his holster. "License and registration," he said, not asked. Althea handed them over calmly. "Is there a problem, officer? You rolled through that stop sign. You in a hurry? I'm on my way to court." He glanced at her ID, Althea Monroe. "That your real name?" She raised an eyebrow. "Yes, you look nervous." "I'm not." He leaned closer. "Step out of the vehicle." Althea hesitated. "Is that necessary? Are you resisting?" "No." She stepped out. Callahan frisked her with unnecessary force. His hands moved with the kind of aggression that wasn't about safety. It was about control. Althea didn't flinch. She'd seen this before. She'd ruled on it. She'd ruled on it. A neighbor filmed from their porch, whispering, "That's Judge Monroe. She's a black judge." Callahan didn't care. He accused her of being uncooperative, claimed she smelled like alcohol, and placed her in handcuffs. Althea didn't resist. She knew better. She knew how quickly things could escalate. She knew that her calm was her armor. He placed her in the back of his cruiser and drove her to the precinct. She thought about the courtroom waiting for her, about the defendant who would now face a different judge, about the irony of being late to a hearing on police abuse because she was living it. At the station, the desk sergeant looked up and froze. "Judge Monroe." Callahan scoffed. She was acting suspicious. "She's a sitting Superior Court judge." Callahan blinked. She didn't say that. She didn't have to. Within minutes, the precinct commander was on the phone with the mayor. The mayor was on the phone with the Chief Justice, and the Chief Justice was furious. Althea sat quietly in the holding room, her hands still cuffed. She didn't demand anything. She didn't shout. She waited. By noon, the story had gone viral. The neighbor's video showed Callahan's aggressive behavior, the unnecessary frisk, the handcuffs. The caption read, "Black judge arrested for driving while black. Callahan was suspended pending investigation." He gave a statement. "I didn't know who she was. I was just doing my job." But the damage was done. 2 weeks later, Althea presided over a case involving excessive force. The defendant was a young black man accused of assaulting an officer during a traffic stop. The officer claimed the man lunged at him. The video showed otherwise. Althea ruled in favor of the defendant, citing lack of evidence and clear abuse of power. Her closing remarks were sharp. "Justice is not a badge. It is not a robe. It is not a weapon. It is a mirror. And today, it reflects our failure to protect the dignity of those we serve." A month later, Althea agreed to a televised interview. The host asked, "Why didn't you tell Officer Callahan who you were?" She replied, "Because it shouldn't matter." She looked into the camera. That power without accountability is tyranny, and silence in the face of injustice is complicity. The clip went viral. Callahan was fired, not just for the arrest, but for a pattern of complaints that had been ignored. Internal Affairs reopened old cases. His badge was revoked. Althea, meanwhile, was nominated for a federal judgeship. Months later, Althea walked into a classroom at Howard University to guest lecture. She spoke to young law students about dignity, restraint, and the power of narrative. One student asked, "Do you ever think about Officer Callahan?" She looked around the room. "I've seen the law from both sides of the bars, and I still believe in it. But titles don't protect us. Truth does."